Hello. I've never done anything like this before, and I'm hoping that after you hear me out, you will share this video. I have posted other texts to Facebook and had a music video posted to YouTube, but nothing like this. And the reason is because I have been so disturbed by the fact that I have heard personally and on TV people saying they might sit out this 2016 election and just not vote. I find this incomprehensible. First, because so many people sacrifice so much for us to be able to exercise this constitutional right that was denied African Americans in this country for so very long. Uh, I even worked on this campaign in the early 60s, which is why I feel I have a personal stake in this matter. Now, uh, one of the people who worked on that camp, who was a part of that march in Selma, Alabama, across that Edmund Pettus Bridge, in addition to Dr. King and Dr. Ralph Abernathy, was a gentleman who is the state representative in Georgia, Representative John Lewis. He has written a set of books, Book One and Book Two, called March. That's this book. And this is Book Two. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Book Two. And these books are printed as cartoon entries, as you can see, which is excellent reading, which chronicles the saga of the civil rights campaign for the Civil Rights Act that was passed in 1964 and the Voting Rights Act that was passed in 1965. I strongly recommend that you read these books, have your children read these books. Many schools have already adopted these books, as I understand it, as a part of their curriculum. I use these books when I led a discussion at Pacific Palisades High. Now, the stakes in this 2016 election are astronomically high. Many people say they don't trust Hillary Clinton and they hate Donald Trump. So why vote? Well, first, let me say that for me, the decision between these two people is like making a decision between a possible headache and getting stage 4 terminal cancer. Many of you already know what Donald Trump has been saying, the hateful, divisive vitriol that is spewed from his mouth, which is why I might add that the rank and file Republican Party love him so, because he is publicly saying what they feel rather than the politically correct rhetoric that most Republican candidates have been uttering themselves. Now, most of these candidates probably agree with him, but they don't want to say it. And now they have a voice in Donald Trump. Let me go a step further. In 2008, we elected our first black president, President Barack Obama, who was elected by a landslide. African Americans turned out in droves, which swept him into the White House. And I'm so proud of that. He has been a phenomenal president. And I know many of you say, well, Barack Obama hasn't done all that he could have done. Well, I think you need to think about the fact that when he came into office, we were in a recession, a ditch that we had been driven into by the conservative Republican Party under President George Bush. And due to the corporate greed of bankers that had exercised so many unwise monetary decisions, we were in a mess. So he spent his first year pretty much digging us out of that ditch. Then there was the Affordable Care Act. that he worked so diligently to get passed. Plus, he had a Senate which was led by Mitch McConnell, who had already committed to and dedicated himself to making sure, as he put it in his words, that his first term as president would be his last. And of course, we know how that turned out. But this is the kind of thing he was fighting, and still he has managed to go to and get his approval rating up to more than 50%. Now, during this 2008 campaign, we also swept Democratic congressmen and Democratic senators into those two chambers. And so this helped. But what happened was in 2010, many people decided, many Democrats, that they wouldn't vote. So guess what? The Tea Party was coming into its own during that period of time. And they swept into the House 63 conservative representatives. They picked up, I believe, 6 seats in the Senate. Then in 2012 and 2014, they managed to complete control of the Senate as well as having total control of the House. Now, during the same 2010 campaign, again, because many Democrats refused to vote, and Republicans can always be counted on to vote in mass. States went from blue liberal to red conservative. Republicans, again, with the help of the blossoming Tea Party, took control of many state governments, and the result of that we are struggling with today. Things like voter ID laws, stand your ground laws, concealed carry laws, open carry laws, abortion laws targeting LGBTQ communities. They further managed, with the help of a conservative Supreme Court, to gut Title III of the Voting Rights Bill, and managed to get Citizens United validated by the conservative Supreme Court. They tried to strike down the Affordable Care Act, but with the help of the Supreme Court, thanks to Justice Roberts, they failed. With respect to voter ID laws, conceal and open carry, and stand your ground laws, these laws were written, I believe, strictly with African Americans in mind, because of the fear that whites have and the mistrust of blacks. If these states had been totally white, you probably would never hear of those laws. Now, fourth, with respect to this Supreme Court, let me add my final point. People, including political pundits, have been asking, why doesn't Senator Mitch McConnell and Congressman Paul Ryan repudiate and denounce Donald Trump for the many hateful and disqualifying things he has said? Well, guess what? To me, the answer is simple and crystal clear. They want a conservative Supreme Court. Right now, with the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, that conservative seat is open. And they have refused to consider and confirm any nominee that has been put before them, which has only been one, by President Obama, because they are banking and hanging their political hats on the fact that they will get a Republican in the White House. I really don't think they give a damn about Donald Trump. But He can give them what they want most in this world, and that is Scalia's seat, and that they would make a deal with the devil if they had to make that happen. And might I add here that they are even looking beyond that possibility. Justice Ruth Ginsburg is 83 years old and will probably retire in the next 4-year term of the next president. Not only that, Justice Anthony Kennedy is 80 and could also possibly retire during that 4-year period and the following 4-year period of the next president. And in addition to that, consider this: there are, because during the same period in 20 between 2010, 2012, and 2014, many courts were stymied, because federal courts, that is, because there are 92 vacancies at the federal court level. Of these, 57 are waiting confirmation, pending confirmation, that have been elected or selected by the president, but are waiting confirmation, which this Senate refuses to confirm. But these will also be available to the next president. And these district courts hear challenges from lower state courts, many of the states, as I said, are controlled by conservatives. I previously mentioned the voter ID laws, the stand your ground laws, the laws governing abortion. Now, to give you an example of the power of these courts and what they mean to us, the Federal Appeals Court in North Carolina overturned North Carolina's voter ID law recently. The federal court for the state of Texas overturned that law regarding abortion. So these draconian laws are really crippling and strangling the civil liberties of this country. So you see, these courts are critical as well. This is also what we have to think about. So I have laid out with clarity, I hope, the horror of any decision you might make to sit out this election on November 8, 2016. The future of your children and your children's children is at stake. And I do hope you will make a hard and clear decision about what you choose to do. So in closing, let me remind you, all voters, particularly African American and Hispanic and Native American voters, that if Donald Trump is elected, that will not impact white voters nearly as much as it will black. There is a saying that has been coined down through the ages: when white people get a cold, black people get pneumonia. So please think hard before you vote, and reconsider any decision you might have to sit out this election. I beg you, please. Thank you so much.